Okay, I may have had problems with The Force Awakens, but The Last Jedi had problems too, despite how much I loved it. First off, we don't seem to get any character development whatsoever. In fact, they seem to be backtracking, if anything, because continuing from the cliffhanger in The Force Awakens, we see Luke throw away his lightsaber and just be like, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. And at first I liked it, but now I'm not so sure anymore. And then Rey, of course. Rey is still Rey. In my last video, I complained about how it's totally impossible that she can do all these crazy things with no training whatsoever. And in this movie, we're like, yay, finally, she's gonna get trained and maybe be somewhat believable now. But no, she barely got taught anything. She was told how to feel the Force around her. And heck, if anything, that should have been in the first movie. Because then at least she has some idea of what the heck she's doing. And then that whole stupid side plot with Finn and Rose. Stop treating this like a field trip. It is not a field trip. The entire Resistance is about to die. And you're like, oh, let's stop and look at the pretty casino. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And then of course there's Rose. We have to address Rose. I don't really get why so many people hate her. I think she's a good character right up until that last scene when she smashes Finn out of the sky, and I'm like, well, that was dumb. A, you could have killed him, and B, that whole line about it's not about what? Fighting what you hate, and it's about protecting what you love. And that's what Finn was trying to do. Why would you do that? And then down to Holdo. How dumb are you? Like, come on, how hard is it to just say, okay, we're all good, we have a plan. We're not going to die. How hard is it really? And what they did with Leia's character, I thought it was weird. I felt like they should have either killed her off when she was blown out into space, or just not have put her in that situation at all. I liked Holdo. I actually liked her as a character, but I felt like she shouldn't have been there. There wasn't really a reason for it other than stupidity, and we had to make Poe look dumb. Yeah, Poe is all of a sudden dumb. Going back to Finn, in the first movie, I forgot to address this, but he's a total coward, and all he does is run away, up until the point where he just does a total 180 and he becomes just stupidly brave. He goes onto Starkiller Base and no plan whatsoever, just yeah, let's go save Rey. Han was the only half-decent character in that movie. Okay, so addressing who are Rey's parents? Nobody. I don't know what to think of that. Half of me kind of likes the idea that she's something altogether new, but half of me doesn't like the idea, and I kind of wish like that she could have turned out to be a Kenobi, or heck, even a descendant of the Emperor, because that was I actually thought that was a pretty interesting theory. That would have been cool to see. And they killed off Snoke. Again, half of me loved it, half of me didn't, because it would have been cool to see him turn out to be like, yeah, he's Darth Plagueis. Yeah, that's what we really wanted to see. Going back to the casino side plot, they set up the Master Codebreaker character, and we actually got to see him. And I'm wondering, is like, Was that for a purpose? Are you bringing him back? I had the same thing with the other codebreaker. The way they left it off, with Finn saying, oh, you're wrong, and him saying, maybe, it felt like we were kind of being left hanging that maybe he would come back. Same thing with the broom boy at the end of the movie. I feel like they're gonna bring him back. I feel like they're gonna bring all these characters back. And they should, because the way they built them up in The Last Jedi, I'm curious now, and I want to see them get a little more recognition. Because the broom boy was obviously, he's force sensitive, he's a fan of the Resistance. So moving on to the end of the movie, those final scenes there, so depressing, because it was just like, failure, 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 more failure. There was nothing redeeming. Everything they tried, they just failed at. The whole unnecessary side plot ended in failure. The whole movie ended in pretty much failure. The Resistance barely escaped. And when Finn and Rose were still on the Supremacy, and Finn had that face-off with Captain Phasma, I felt like that should have been the first movie. That fight should have been in the first movie because she was supposed to be a cool character. And at the end of the first movie, they just threw her in the garbage. And then in The Last Jedi, they kill her? It's like, that's even worse. You just devoted so little time to her. So those are all the problems with it. But like I said, Last Jedi had a lot of redeeming qualities. I felt like The Force Awakens didn't really have that. The only thing it really had going for it was nostalgia. Every time they threw like one more stupid scene in your face, it's like, oh look, Han, Chewie, the Millennium Falcon, nostalgia, be happy, I guess. And I wasn't impressed. First time I saw it, I hated it. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay now. But I recently watched both movies back to back, and I kind of sat down to begin with, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna analyze these movies. So many problems. But I feel like in The Last Jedi, they did a good job of setting up Reylo. All those yin and yang symbols you see everywhere, it's pretty awesome. So in that training scene with Rey and Luke, she says between dark and light and peace and violence, there is balance. I'm going to be doing a video on the plot leak concerning episode 9. There's just so much to address. So I will see you in the next video.